So let's keep this party going. Next, we have a guest that we haven't had that much recently, and we're delighted to have her back. Are you guys ready? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Sam Ferris. How's it going?
It's an intimate little group. Look at you guys. Look at you guys all the way back there.
Dedicated followers.
I guess I can use this. Can I don't have to yell. I have a good voice. I don't care. Look at you guys. Are you hiding? You just want to, we want to be in, but we want to be sort of...
You separate? You have a seat allocation here. They can't just jump in the front row.
Oh,
they would like to.
I'm a front row gal.
Well, I know. Me too. What was the last concert you were at?
Oh my God. You know what? I don't think I've been to a concert since...
The pandemic?
Yep. I can honestly say we had Stones tickets. I live in Vancouver. We had Stones tickets. They tried to reschedule twice, and they finally just said, look, we can't do it, so we're not coming to Vancouver.
Oh, man.
Heartbroken. Some people just kept their tickets and just like, I just want to keep the tickets. I didn't want my money back, and just because we knew that the Stones, this was going to be their last show ever coming to Vancouver, and that was it. So I haven't been to. This is the first live music I've seen in. Oh, well, you gotta go. Is it 3 years?
Yep. Yeah.
Is that what it's been? It's been
March 2020. March 2020 wasn't it? Yeah. Right after Vegas, March 2020. Yep. And so, are you adverse to going to concerts now, or do you care?
No. I'm game. Like Vancouver, you know what's funny is in Canada they're still wearing their masks. I got on a plane from Vancouver yesterday. Everybody had their mask on. The pilot came on and said, "Guys,
take off your masks."
no." He said you have to keep them on because we're a Canadian airline. But the second we landed, people are flicking their, it's like a woman with a bra after a long day. Those things are shooting across the room. People are like ripping them off and stomping on them and swearing at them to get this thing off their face. But Canada is still very much wearing their masks. We're very, polite.
Conscientious, I would say.
Very much so. So live music didn't even start to come back it's only just sort of getting going now. So, man, you guys are, I didn't even know people were wearing masks. There's one.
There's a couple of people with masks, like, is it masks at photo op still? No.
Did they do masks?
Oh, we had perspex. I'll get off the stage. I just wanted to wait until some people came in, give you like a bit of an intro.
Yeah.
But we had a perspex glass, whatever it is. Perspex, is that correct terminology?
Oh, you had a piece of glass between
us.
The actors and the fans?
The actors and the fans, yeah.
Did you have to pay full price for it?
Yeah, full price. And I'll leave you with that. Send your complaints to...
Yes, exactly.
Everybody, give it up for Sam Ferris. Please be nice to her. We'll chat to you.
Hi, you guys. We're going to enter a little group. Feel free to move forward if you want to. I can barely see you guys. I can just see heads. I don't know how bands see their crowd. Like I can see see the little fuzzy bits of people's hair up the top of their heads, but that's all I can see. So I can't see you, so you can say whatever you want, and I will never know it's you or not you. But thanks for having me, guys. The last one I did was Vegas. See, somebody was probably there. And I think it was the same group of people, or it might be always the same group of people. Kelly Genzel wasn't here, but I think everybody else, Osric was there. And Brianna's here, and the band. I mean, the band's always here. I haven't seen Rob yet. This gentleman, but that's the last time I did a convention, so it's nice to be back. And are you guys happy to be back? I don't know if you want me to shoot shit, or if you guys want to start with questions. How do you want to do this? Trust me, I can talk forever about anything, and I probably will. Now there's people literally almost at the back. That's amazing. You scared? Oh my, you know what, I shouldn't say that. Maybe people are a little nervous. I didn't even think about that.
It's assigned seats.
Well, I don't want to shame anybody then. Sit where you want to sit. But
it's assigned seating.
Assigned seat.
You pay for your seat.
You're joking.
No.
Really?
That's why there's numbers.
Do you pay more for the front ones than the back ones?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. That's new to me. Is that new to you? Is that new to this whole... It's it's like now you got to go into the theaters and you got to, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, oh, sorry, wrong road, sorry. I'm saying, wow, that's interesting. Huh, okay. Well, I guess there it goes. Anyway, Sam Ferris, my name, Ellen Harvell, played it on the show. You guys big Ellen fans? I was just talking to a bunch of people in a meet and greet room, and you forget, like as an actor, I live in Vancouver, and you forget it's years ago now, right? Because the last episode I did was the My Heart Will Go On. Is that what it was called? Me and Bobby, the altered universe, which was so cute and so sweet. And Jim Bieber and I came on the show at exactly the same time. So it was just like a comfortable shoe. It was just like, oh, buddy, how are you? Me, Alona, Chad, and Jim Bieber came on all at the same time. So it was so lovely to see him. But I was in a meet and greet earlier, and you move on and you shoot other things. I did a show that just came out on Netflix called Devil in Ohio. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. It doesn't look like me. Nobody, not even my family knew that was me until I opened my mouth. And my brother's like, are you on Devil in Ohio? I'm like, are you really phoning? Are you really texting me to ask me that? Your sister? You grew up with? And is that you don't know that's me? He's like, it just doesn't look like you. I have my hair curly, and I don't think I'll do that again. Curly on camera, just, unless I'm playing one of these characters, curly on camera doesn't work, so I learned that. But anyway, sorry, I'm going to digress a lot. I've had a lot of coffee this morning. And so we go off and we shoot other things, and my life goes on, and I, just finished a video game and did all this stuff, but sitting down with people and not having done a convention in so long, I forget about this show, and it's kind of melancholy and sad because you relive it all over again. Like at the beginning, I used to do these conventions all the time, and then things got busy, and it gets away from you, and all of a sudden it's been 5 years, 10 years since you do them. But it's seeing these people and answering these questions all over again, you forget how much you miss this show and how much you've been working on it. I'm sure the boys, and I guess everybody probably says the same thing over and over again about Supernatural. It was a show like no other in that it was a family. And 15 years for sure, but even before it was 15 years. Supernatural, I'd never seen any bond like that between a cast and crew. Now, what happens with a show that goes a long time and you have two leads? Misha wasn't even on there yet. I don't know what season did Misha come in for? 4. I knew you guys would know. I bet I can ask anything and somebody here will know every piece of trivia of Supernatural. Love that about fans. At the beginning, when we first started shooting it, nobody knew that the show was going to be a big deal. Like, I came in Supernatural, I'm like, yeah, you're auditioning for this show, some sci-fi thing, shooting in Vancouver, 2 guys from Texas, and they're like, watch the first season just to get an idea of it. And I'm like, I'm never going to book this, but okay. Normally they were hiring a lot of Americans at the time, they weren't hiring a lot of Canadians. That was, you know what year it was, 2001, 2002?
5.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. And I remember watching and thinking, I don't want to watch sci-fi. I mean, sci-fi hadn't taken off yet. It wasn't a mainstream thing. And I'm like, I don't want to watch. And I'm like, okay, so I sat down to watch the first season, and I'm, just kind of half-assed looking at the screen, and I'm like, oh, they're cute. Who are these guys? Oh, Texas, nice. Oh, they're both from Texas. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, good music. Okay, that's fantastic. Oh, this is scary. Oh, Mother Mary, Bloody Mary. Even I won't say it 3 times. And I remember watching the first and going, this is actually pretty good. This might catch on. People might actually watch the show. And then you cut to 15 years later, and it was, I think the longest, other than Smallville, I think Supernatural was the longest running, episodic, dramatic. Was that what it was? It falls into some category.
Yeah.
I don't know, was it MASH that did longer?
MASH did 15.
Oh, okay, well, so amazing. And you look back at 15 years, and the crew on this show, and you guys never get to see them, but the crew on this show were the most bonded group of people. Like, you work a crew, and there's IATSE members, that's everything from the lighting to construction to the set dressers to the craft service people. Normally you shoot a show and then you go off and you just start on the next show and then there's a break. This is one of the only shows where the crew all stayed. They chose to stay. They all took little day calls, but they all made a commitment to come back and do the next season. And then cut to 15 years later, the staff and crew on this show, they watched their kids grow up. during the shooting of this show. Kids were born, and 15 years later, they were 15-year-old kids. And their whole parents had done nothing but work on the show. So it was a bond of a crew that no other show has ever done. I don't think, and it trickles down from, it always comes from the actors. And that's a huge commendation to Jared and Jensen, because they were two guys from Texas, and they came in with zero attitude. And even though people knew them a little bit, but they never had any attitude. They just were two good Texas-raised, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. They were just very respectful, hat off, lovely, modest guys. And the crew became their family. Whereas a lot of lead actors, you know, they come out in their slippers and their robe and they'll, oh yeah, you know, go through the blocking, curlers in, on their phone the whole time. Yeah, okay, you guys ready to shoot? Okay, I'm gonna go and do my makeup now. You know, the people get tired of it. 23 episodes of a show, and they just sort of, you know, some actors can just go, whatever. These guys made such a family of their crew. They partied together. They went on vacations together. Like Jared and Jensen would go on weekends fishing with the crew, and you know, the head gaffer and the head, like a couple of crew members, 15 years, a couple of crew members died through the duration, because that's what happens, and they were heartbroken. They stopped shooting, I think, when Yob, I think the guy named Yob, did they ever talk about Yob? Ah, see, there's something I know that you don't. Yob was a stand-in. If you guys are Canadian, you would know. He actually he was Norwegian, something from Denmark, Switzerland, something. He had a very interesting, Grolsch. Where's Grolsch beer from? You guys might not know that. It's not Germany, anyway, it's that way. He had a very strong accent. And he did the voice of this across the world. He did the Grolsch, he was the Grolsch voice guy. But he was a stand-in. Older guy, tall, skinny, but just a lovely, really you know, he was not in your face. He was just a lovely, hi, y'all, oh, hey. And he became their family, and he died. I don't know what he died of, but he died very suddenly. And I think they took a couple days off, and I think it was paid. Everybody said, we're not doing this. When Kim Manners, and that's gonna make me cry. When Kim Manners died, he was, I think, the first, he was the first, I don't think I can do this.
I think it's okay.
He was the first real death that they were new. I think it was season 3 or season 4. I don't know what year it was. When I turn around, you guys know my death scene, right? Am I spoiling anything if I tell you? Because if you are, you're in the wrong room, because you're not going to hear that. When I turn around, so such great stuff from that last scene was just, it's just the best scene ever. It's my claim to be, that's the one scene I will always be proud of, and it's the one thing I get questions about on every platform, in every area of my life. I'll go to a trip to Mexico, somebody will come up and say, my mother and I talked because of you. Again, cheers. Kim Manners. Kim Manners, when he was a lovely guy, he was a little gruff. He directed years. He was an old school. By the time he got to Supernatural, he was old school. He had, you guys are way too young, most of you, to remember 21 Jump Street.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? You just watched it after, though. You guys weren't around at the time, though, right? Shit, you're old. I mean, I know I'm older, but you're old if you remember that. So Kim Manners, like when Vancouver, then 21 Jump Street was our first show, other than like the Beachcombers, which super Canadian. CBC was something we did, but I think that was one of the first shows. And then there was also a Wise Guy. Wise Guy shot in Vancouver. I think Kim Manners did a bunch of that. Anyway, he sort of was one of the first directors in Vancouver. And so by the time he did Supernatural, he was really well known, and he's this big, feathered hair, Def Leppard t-shirt, and he was the gentlest, loveliest guy. My brother works at a high-end restaurant in Vancouver, and Kim Manners and his wife would come in, and my brother, we didn't know that we were related. So when he found my brother, he found out that Tim was my brother. He just requested Tim's section all the time, and he said, you know, do you want to know anything about your sister? Because I saw her on Wednesday. She's gaining weight. Tell her, you know, those earrings don't work. That makeup is not whatever. You know, so they'd be the joke back and forth. But he was a lovely man, and he's one of those guys that really bonded with the crew very early. And when he directed, because he directed quite a bit at the beginning, and he was a producer as well, but when he directed a bunch of the episodes, instead of saying, you know, every director has some say whatever you like. I think Clint Eastwood, it's a lot of pressure to say and action. Because it's, you know, it's like you're ready to go and that's like go, like start acting. And so a lot of directors sort of over the years would kind of find a different way to say whenever you're ready, just to respect the actor. And Kim Manners would say, "All right, kick it in the ass," and that was his line. That's how he would start, and he just could go whenever you wanted. But that was his last little rah rah. Let's hope this rocks. Do your thing, kick it in the ass. So on my scene, when I turned around, I wasn't supposed to say kick it in the ass. He's gonna get me. I don't have a problem crying in front of you. It's just, I'm one of the, I'm really bad, ugly crier. Some people look really, dropping down my face.
It's okay.
I'm not that. I'm that full switched in apple doll face. I would turn around and I'm just supposed to say, don't miss. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I turn around and I'm down with my daughter, and I turn around and I say, and Dean, don't miss. And I think, might have been not somebody from some department just came up and said, just as an aside, he said, you know what'd be cool? Is if you said, as an homage to Kim Manners, kick it in the ass. And I'm like, we'll try it. I said, I don't think they'll keep it, but we'll do it anyway. And so blah, 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 we did a couple takes where it was just, and boys, don't miss. And I turn around and I say, and kick in the ass. And they ended that scene to move on. It was cut very shortly after that before the boys walk off. Every single one of us broke down with the bottom lip quivering. Like, we barely held it together until they said cut, and everybody cried. It was the most magical moment for this man. And if he's gone somewhere else and he can see down, he'd be smiling his ass off. He was a rebel. He lived his own way. He drank hard, smoked hard. That was the life that he lived. But he never told anybody that he was sick. So he just went home, and he must have been suffering for so long. He went home to LA for the weekend, and he never came back. And I don't think the boys knew. And I think people were so surprised, and I think they took some time off when that happened. I don't even think he said any last-minute things. He just drifted off, and that's the way he wanted it. And I ended up saying to my brother, Kim Manners died this weekend. And he said, I know, because Tim knew. And Kim told him that he couldn't say anything. And I'm like, how could you not say anything? And he's like, I'm just saying, I served him every week, and he tipped me ridiculously well. I loved him and his wife. He goes, he would have kicked my ass. But he said, I knew. And he said, the people in the restaurant knew. And then he said, I won't be back for a while. And he never came back. Which is just amazing. How did we start on that? How did we even get to that? Kick it in the ass, directors? Now, do you want me to keep talking, or does anybody have a question? Because I definitely want to answer any questions if there are them. Are there?
Yes.
Oh, we do. Okay, sorry. I could ramble forever, especially with this coffee. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Elora.
Laura. Hi, Laura. Where are you from?
Brighton.
Where?
Brighton.
Brighton, is that?
It's like a 45-minute drive.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't know my American. You know, this is the first time I've ever been to Colorado. Isn't that amazing? I'm 53 years old and I've never been to Colorado. And it's beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Vancouver. It's very green here.
Yeah.
LA's really brown. We had a shit summer. I don't know about you guys. We had rain all summer, so it's very green here, and it reminds me a lot of Vancouver. I'm sorry, darling. What's your question?
My question is, what was your favorite part to film?
Everything had a different favorite. That last scene was very satisfying. The crying and that we knew. Phil Screechia, who's a producer who directed our last episode, we didn't know that you were dying, right? So he took us aside, and we're like, oh no. Because they kill off every woman in the show. So he said, I need to talk to you and Alona. And I'm like, okay. So he take us, I think we went into my trailer, and he said, I have a CD for you, but I need to tell you something first. He said, good news and bad news. Bad news is, you guys, it was a mid-season cliffhanger, and as you know, at the end of every season or at the end of any break, they got to leave you hanging because they need you guys to come back in a month's time, right? So they got to give it a little oomph. You guys are the mid-season replacement cliffhanger, so you guys are going down. He said, but you're going out in a blaze of glory, and it's going to be great. And he popped the CD and the CD player in my trailer, and it was, she's a lady, and it was all the clippets and snippets of mine and Alona's scenes. I mean, it took them hours and they paid somebody lots of money to edit this for us. That's how lovely they were. So the last scenes were really satisfying. I still hear about them today, and they have had, for some reason, that scene had a lot of effect on a lot of people, a lot of women, a lot of relationships and families. That scene, for some reason, was so incredibly I don't know, it just was very poignant. So that scene was great. But I have to say, always your first is your best. And it was when I first met Chad, who was a very good buddy of mine. Shout out to Chad. Okay. You guys seen him? I know he does these. He loves these. And he's really Dr. Badass. Like, that really is Chad. He's just he's the most nice, unpretentious, fun, lovely guy. And when we first met, it was me alone and Chad and Gene Beaver. We were all sort of being introduced at the same time. And that whole scene, the first scene we ever shot was me coming out of the kitchen with, you know what I'm talking about when I say this. I just have to check because I don't want you guys, nodding off going, what's shocking. So I'm coming out of the kitchen with a gun up to Jared's head and Sam, Dean, or Winchesters, whatever the line is, whatever it was, Winchesters, and I have to laugh and drop the gun. That's the first scene. And then, of course, Chad, I don't even know what he's doing. I didn't see his audition. So I see this guy, I see the hair, and I'm like, that is fabulous. How can you not love that? Like, I mean, that thing is so good. Didn't he auction one off? I think somebody paid a lot of money for that. And they're meant to, right? Because they had to constantly work on it, and then it grew it. So he had a bunch of mannequins in the hair and makeup trailer that wore Chad badass hair. But seeing him, the final scene that you saw of him going, closing time, and he does this, and I think he falls off the table. His first take on that very first scene was so big that he went back to LA. They actually had to fly him back up because the producers wanted somebody less kind of crazy and a little more like nerd. So we were like, what? Why do you want that? It was the best scene ever. And every time we had a scene, he takes a beer. I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you go back and watch those episodes when Chad comes in, he always grabs whoever is drinking a beer. He always at one point in time grabs it and takes a sip and puts it back. Whether it's Dean's or Sam's or mine or just sitting on a bar, and that's just all Chad. That wasn't scripted. He just did, you just let him go, and Chad did whatever he wanted. So it got to a point where I just couldn't, I'm like, you just gotta spit the line out. When the camera's on me and it's not on Chad, it's called coverage. So when it's your coverage, you're acting, but the person across from you, out of respect for you, gives you a little bit, but not a lot, so you don't, I was just like, baby, you just can't act, you just gotta say the lines, because I couldn't hold it together. Watching and working with him, because he was just such a, you know who it was, he was that guy, and I'm like, I talked to Kim Manners, I'm like, he's like, Sam, and I'm like, I can't, I gotta look somewhere else, because I keep cracking up. So I would say, the last and the first scene, I guess, you know what, I bet a lot of actors would say that. Your first scene on a show is always memorable, and your last scene on a show is always memorable. Does that answer your question? Sort of. Yeah, those are my two favorites. How's that? Thank
Over here.
Oh, sorry, where? See, I can't see you guys. Hi there, what's your name?
Ari,
Ari, hi Ari, where are you from?
Denver.
Denver? Rock Mountain High, baby. Okay, what is your question?
What was the most intense scene to film?
The dying, I think. The crying. Well, her dying, my crying. I would say definitely Alona's dying. Because we shot our dying scene sitting on that ground where she's on my shoulder. That was all day. And that was, when you have to be emotional on camera, this when I talk about the coverage, when it's your coverage, you kind of give them 75%, you don't give everything because you got to hold stuff for your own coverage. We cried all day. I drank so much water, I came home, my eyes were puffy the next day, because we had to kind of cry all day. And they did Alona's coverage first. So Phil said, Sam, save it. Do not use all your tears now. That's what an actor, if you're doing an emotional scene, you gotta really hold it for your coverage, because you just can't cry all day long. It's just not possible. Well, I shouldn't say it, yes it is. We've all had bad events. COVID just went through our lives. Everybody has had a massive meltdown at one point in time, cried all day. But on cue, crying all day is a very difficult thing to do. And you want a good performance, especially because it was the end of us. So I remember Phil saying, they do the master, which is both of us, and then they go in for cover. So we both cried, and those were real tears. Because we knew we were leaving, we were saying goodbye to the show that we'd been a part of for a number of years, so we were both legitimately heartbroken. There was the crew got very quiet. A lot of like sex scenes and emotional scenes, crews always, they remove everybody, it's like, what do they call it? Mandatory crew only. So when there's nudity, they just have very bare bones. They have the director, the DOP, and whatever. So they always try to give the actors a lot of space to get to that emotion. And so it was very intimate. They brought the lights down. Everybody was very quiet. And actors give each other a lot of space to reach an emotional thing. It was so easy for us. We bawled for the first half of the day. Makeup, the hair and makeup were just, oh my God, again. And they'd have to come up and get Q-tip under your eye and whatever. They didn't, and the fake tears, they didn't even need them. Because they give some people fake tears. So they blow a little mentholatum in your eyes and makes you do this. And then you cry, because that's how your eyes work. We didn't need any of that. But there was so much crying, and it was real normal crying. So what you saw was legit. And he's like, save it, we're not, your coverage is after lunch. Like, your coverage is at like 6 o'clock at night, and we're at 8, 9:30 in the morning. And I'm like, I'm trying to hold it in, I can't. It was very emotional. He's like, okay, just so you know, we need your tears later on. So that was probably the most. And I kept the tears. There weren't as many later, but that was the most intense scene because we knew we were leaving the show. It was a real departure on so many symbolic and real ways. And in it, like you're supposed to really get in and feel it and say goodbye to my daughter, who I turn away and I turn back and she's dead. That is just, it's amazing stuff. It still puts the shivers up my own back. So I would say that was definitely the most intense scene, for sure. Okay. We going this way? Hi.
Hi. My question is, so you've been saying how like emotional that last scene was and how that ending like affected a lot of people and how it was more memorable. If you had a different ending than that one, what would you want it to be?
Are we still dying or no dying? Like if I was to live?
What do you want it to be?
Oh my God. That's a tough one. I would say drive off a cliff, like sort of Thelma and Louise. If it was something to die anyway, I'd be like, woo, let's go out, screaming and shouting. And that Wagoneer, by the way, was my idea. The car that they gave me, well, I said to Eric, I said, she's got to drive a Wagoneer. But I wanted a purple one with a white shag top. And he said, we tried. I'm like, you could have painted one. He goes, no, because they have the wood on the side. We wanted the woody wagon, and we couldn't figure out how to paint that and not have it look stupid, so we got the woody wagon, and I'm like, so again, I digress, I go way off. I would say going off a cliff. I can't take the guys with me because the show had to go for 9 years. I don't want to kill my daughter because, you don't kill your daughter. Maybe me and Chad off the cliff in a blaze of glory, or driving off naked and all you see is clothing. Oh, maybe the mullet, like everything behind you. But it would be big. I mean, you have to be an Ellen way, right? Badass chick, a badass woman, bar owning. Everybody says how you explain your character. I'm like, gun-toting, bar owning, beer drinking broad. And she was. She really was. I know. She's one of my favorite characters. I played a lot of great characters, and I would say Ellen Harvell was the most satisfying, the most fun to play. So, yeah, I'd say, you don't want to die because you really want to come back. Once you die on the show, although you're never dead on this show, but you're limited, right? You're only coming back so many times after you die. If I could have stayed alive, that would have been great because then I could have done another 9 seasons. But if I was going to die, I'd say massive blaze of glory, screaming off into the sunset in a woody wagon. It should have been. It should have been. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Kellen.
Kellen or Helen?
Kellen.
With a K? Where are you from, Kellen?
Williamsburg.
I keep asking. I should stop asking because I ask like I know. I don't know. I think in Denver, I'm like, oh, yay, Colorado. Tell me, what is your question?
How long have you been acting?
I started late. I started at 28, which for an actor, and by the way, that's incredibly, that should tell anybody who wants to become an actor late in life. You don't just start as a kid actor, and that was great. I had a lot of people come to me over time with, how did you get into it? When did you go into it? You can get into this at any point in time. I was 28 years old. I was a radio announcer. I'd done radio. I was a weather girl on the local TV station in Vancouver. I was Rainy Janie. Janie was my middle name. Lane. But I was a weather girl. I did radio for 25 years, and then I was working at a radio station. I hated it. I didn't like my boyfriend. I was getting stomach aches because I hated my life. You all been there, right? That stomach stress where you're just waking up every day going, is this my life? I remember hating it and going, and my dad died. And I remember thinking, you know what, you better do what you want with this life, because at the end, you get to die. Like, we don't have to do it forever, but you got to at least go after what you really want to do, because we've got so little time here. Do what you want to do, because if you fail, you fail. At least you tried to do what you wanted to do. So I realized, I'm 28, you really want to be an actor? My mother said, oh, darling, very British. She hates, she's never watched a thing I've ever done, other than she saw some nudity of Chris Isaac and went, right, that's it, nope, not doing that again. She watched it once, and they said, no. She's out with her husband and his 3 grown boys, and she's like, that was really awkward. She said, I'll never do it again. Oh my God, Julie, see, this is what I do. I go off, I veer off, and what did
You're 28.
Oh, 28, so I say, at 28 years old, my mom goes, do you really want to change careers at 28? That's old to change careers. I'm like, F it, I'm changing career. You know what? Die trying, do what you want to do. This life is so short, you can't shortchange yourself. You really can't. We spend 35% of our life working, you better like what you do. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to change careers again at 28, absolutely. So I went after it at 28. And look where I got, like, I've had a very successful acting career. So you could be any age and go after whatever career you want. You just have to really want to do it. So I was 28 years old, which is older. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Great, thanks, man. Okay, hi. You know what, somebody's going to tell me if you want me to shorten it down, because I want to get all the questions in, but I just ramble. So you got to give me like a 10-minute, somebody give me a 10-minute one. Hi.
Hi. My question is, so Jared and Jensen are known for messing with people on set. So I was wondering if you had a favorite moments of that, or if you were able to like mom that and be like,
yeah, there was yeah, exactly. Oh no, because we started early in that. I was in season 2, and they were kids at the time. Like Jared, I don't know, how old was Jared when he started? Yeah, he was young. I mean, they were both young, and Jensen had been a TV kid. It's a very tough industry to come into young. Jared had done Another World, or Jensen had done Another World. He came into younger. But Jared was relatively new. He did Gilmore Girls and the odd thing, but it was very new to him. But they were still very, they were kids. And the fart stuff that would go on in that car, like, there's a hole in that first car. Was he the driver? No, he was always passenger, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So it was amazing, and he would roll up all the windows, and I don't know how much, I fart, you fart. I don't know, maybe because they were grown boys, but he could fart on command, and it was the worst. Like, I can't even, and he would do it intentionally, and there's a blooper reel where you see it over and over and over again, and you see Jensen gag, his head out the window. That's not a joke. Like, it was, that boy had something wrong with him. So there's that scene where I'm in the back seat. I guess I'm in the back seat, and you're cold as ice, Warner's cold as ice. It's one of the great scenes, and it takes hours. Even though it's a quick scene, it takes hours to shoot that. So you're in and out of that car 30 times before they have to take all the camera angles, and every single time, I'm like, oh my God. I'm in the back seat. I'm like, do you hold them until we get in there? And he's like, I can do them anytime. Should I do one right now? I'm like, nope. Not interested in one right now. I would say the fart stuff in that car, because you had a captive audience. And he had this little thing. It was an air gun. It was a frozen air gun. It would blow. It was for blowing the dust off the camera, the front of the camera. But it was, I think, what is it called? Ice. The ice that smokes. Dry ice. It was a dry ice thing, so it would actually come out really, really cold, some chemical thing. And he would go up to anybody, camera guy, DOP, gaffer, and right here, he'd get it far enough away, he'd turn it on, so it looked like a little torch, and he'd start 2 inches away, and then he'd get closer, and you're talking to somebody, and you're like, it just starts as like a this, and then 3 seconds in, and you're like, oh my God! Feels like a bee sting, and he's gone. He's already, standing with whatever. He's an actor, right? So you don't know who did it, and in the end, you know who does it. You're like, where is he? Where's that thing? I'm not getting in the car until you're done. Like, it was, so he was that guy. So yeah, I think everybody did. Again, it was one of those crews and one of those casts. It was such a magical show because everybody loved everybody else. Like it really was a family. Those boys spent so much time with that crew. And the great thing is, great story about it, whenever an American actor would come up, like a well-known name, they had a lot of people. They had the chick from Exorcist.
Yes, that was awesome.
Can I be really candid? You can't tell anybody this. I'm not even saying that. She was horrible. She made that, you guys cannot tell. Turn your cameras off. I won't deny this. I don't know, you know what, some child stars, somehow you've seen it, right? We see them fall apart, and I feel bad for them because it must be very hard to be a child actor and go about doing that. I can't imagine the journey that she's walked through, but she was horrible. She made her hair and makeup people cry. She just was she was going through, you know, actors, think about actors. You gotta cut them a little slack because to be a very good actor, you have to access your emotions, right? What makes you good at you can cry on cue. So when you're somebody that cries on cue, your emotions are right there under the skin. So who makes a good actor? Mentally slightly unstable people. All of us are. We can all every one of us can cry on demand. It takes a certain kind of emotional access. You know, there's some big dopey actors and I'm like, how do they get to emotions? And some of them don't, and some of them do, but all actors, if you can get to an emotional state, which sometimes you have to be a certain kind of, you feel things very deeply, and I think she had a very tough life. She was horrible. But you know who, remember? Keep that quiet. As you say it, it wasn't me that said that. And I will deny it, even if it's on camera, I will find you. But I will say one thing, somebody that came up that I had to laugh, no attitude went on set. It just didn't work because the two leads, the attitude on set always falls from the lead. So if you have two really lovely leads that have no attitude, then the whole, you can't pull shit. We have kids here, sorry. You can't pull stuff, you can't do it. So the two leads, it trickles down, they were so normal, so anytime an actor came in with some of that bravado American, you know, attitude or with an entourage or whatever, the guys would shoot them down so fast. Like they'd be like, camera guy here telling me da-da-da, and you know, Jensen turned to me and go, well, if the camera guy told you to do that, then I would say do that. Yeah, you get on that. And he would just harsh. And it was so good. They just championed everybody on that crew, every single person, craft service. You know, like the chocolate bars, they had that don't need them. You look like you don't need any right now anyway. It was, they were hardcore. They supported that crew. And Paris Hilton, who I love, she had the hots for Jared, so I think she only did it because she thought she was going to get lucky. It didn't happen. So many girls were let down on that show. You saw them crash and burn, and you saw the look on their face when it was never going to happen. They were always in relationships. They were not those boys. And you saw the look of a girl showing up by the end of the show. She's like, okay, what have I done here? Where's my, clearly this isn't working out the way I wanted it to work out. But Paris Hilton came on and they shut her down really fast, but she was, you know what, she took it like a champ. They said, no entourage, no BS. You come out of your trailer when they tell you to, because that's how actors pull rank, because they just, yeah, I'll be out there and then I'll come out for 20 minutes. That's how they blow, that's how an actor makes it easy to fit on set, they just don't come out forever. Either like you come out on time, no entourage, you can have one of your makeup people, but that's it. We have hair, we have makeup, we have everything else. Leave the attitude in your trailer. And you know what? I give her credit. She did. She was a total rock star. She did exactly what she did. You know, she's not going to light the world on fire. She's no Meryl Streep. But they got her there because they had a great sense of humor. That show had such a great sense of humor. The fact that they brought her on, they just had great lines. They made fun of themselves, which was one of the beauties of the show. And she was, did she play Paris Hilton? Yeah. She did, see, and I think she didn't try and do too much with it. She just came and did her thing, and she was great. In the end, they're like, no, you know what? She brought it, and she was totally doable, and they didn't have a monster reaction to that one. So I found that great. Did we go here? 10 minutes? Okay, sorry, let's shoot through some questions. Did I go? Was that there? Here, let's go here. Hi.
So thank you for your career advice as a writer. I appreciate that.
Good. So you know what? You got your whole life to try anything you want. You can change careers at 50. So I'll tell you, that's another story. Okay, we'll talk later about something else. Yeah. Okay. Hi.
If you had to pick a lore or anything like that, like a creature or something supernatural, to put on the show, what would you do and why?
God, these questions, you guys. Just when you think you've had every question over the time, come out with something new, and you're like, A lore, wow. You mean like on Supernatural and get to act with them?
Sure. Or like just something you would want to see, because I know you mentioned Bloody Mary or like the Evelyn and White.
Did we do a werewolf Dracula thing? I would like to have seen something. Did we do a who was the closest to that acting wise? Who was it that played the werewolfy?
DJ Qualls plays an actual werewolf.
Oh, that's right. But he's an unassuming werewolf. Like you wouldn't look at DJ and go, oh, good buddy of mine, by the way. That's not a diss, but you wouldn't look at him and go, oh, absolutely werewolf right there. I would say, I mean, it's old school because I'm old, but Dracula, I'd like to see actual with the.
There was one.
There was?
Yeah.
What year was that?
I don't know, but it was like black and white. And
That
it was.
was-
Oh, well, was it the real Dracula? Like the real
He was a shifter kind of guy who wanted to be Dracula, and it was Dracula.
Damn it!
Yeah.
I missed that. That's what I would like. I would like Dracula. I think. You know what I'm gonna leave here and go, that's who I should have. I mean, I would have liked the girl from The Exorcist, but she was on there and she was horrible. Not a word. Hi.
Hi, what's the weirdest thing you've ever autographed?
Oh, those are good ones. I've autographed a fingernail. I've autographed a lot of boobs. Me even. I can see it, guys. I've autographed a lot of boobs. People do bring in crazy things. Like, I'm trying to think lots of box sets of the stuff I've done. You know what's amazing? Again, the fans of this show are the best fans in the world. Somebody made me a book. I don't know where she is anymore. She was she brought it up to me, didn't even really want to act. She made me a book. Ellen Carvel, hardcover. I have it on I have 2 books. I did something called The Tall Man, and they had an album of that there and on my coffee table, and I have this Ellen Carvel, and it's written and it's beautifully made. Stuff like that is just like, you're so humbled by stuff like that. The craziest thing I've ever signed. Oh, I signed my own shoes. I don't know if you guys were there. It was one of the first creation conventions, and we were all partying one night. I've gotten old, I don't do that so much anymore, but I was walking around these high heel shoes, and they were lovely, but they were the most uncomfortable. They did not build those for sleep. They built those to look like a whore. Yeah. And I did. And I looked great, I gotta say. I mean, I was young then. But I signed on it. By the end, I'm like, get these away from me. I'll go back to my room in my stocking feet. I don't want to see these shoes anymore. So I signed a shoe for someone, and I signed a shoe for someone else. We've all signed stuff that people turned into tattoos. Like, they've left us, especially the boys, and they have a pentagram tattoo, but I've signed something and they protected it, and I'm like, oh no, we're going to have this tattooed. And again, that is, I don't even know how I don't even know if thank you is a good term for that, but to have somebody like your character that much, that they do that. I had somebody make me a poetry book, and all these, and I still read the stuff in it. I actually think I either Twittered her, that's the word, or I Instagrammed her because she put so much work into this, and I think years later I said, hey, I still have this book, so I don't want you to think. Somebody put me on their fingernail in Vegas. A woman had me on her fingernail. I signed a fingernail, didn't sign that fingernail. Again, I'm gonna remember this all. We'll do this with Cal tomorrow, and I'll remember the answers to it. I can't think of anything else, but I guarantee you, we signed some crazy stuff. Really crazy stuff. Hi.
Hi, my name's Danny.
Hi, Danny. Where are you from? Are you from here?
I am about 15 minutes away from here.
Perfect, that's a better way to put it. Okay.
So you're kind of a mama bear on the show.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are a mama bear to the crew, especially the boys?
Yes, to the boys for sure. Because coming on there, I mean, I was quite a bit, a year ago, do the math, they were quite young, and I was, apart from Sam, who came in as flashbacks, I was the first female, like they said, we need to bring some females into the show, you guys. We're all penis heavy. It's just sausage party everywhere. We need to bring in some females. So I came in as the first, and that scene where I'm leaning against the bar, and he kind of snaps at me, and I snap back at him, and I say, you'll have to ask your dad. You know our dad? How do you know our dad? You'll have to ask him that. So when you already play that character, yeah, you kind of step into that role, and they were young. And yeah, I would say absolutely. Yeah, you kind of have that, you know, like when you step into a character, stuff comes out. I had a southern accent, and that's not something I ever planned, it just kind of came out. And so when you step into something, as an actor, you just naturally do take that over. So yeah, I would say for sure. And Ellen, you know, I slap him in the face. Don't you, I have the greatest lines, you know, don't you talk back to me, boy, when they're being Sam or chasing them. And when you do a lot of scenes with one of them, it's a very heavy episode with one of them, you spend all your time. So there was episodes where I spent it all with Jensen. And then I had a scene, an episode where I'd spend it all with Jared. And you see 4 minutes on camera, we spend 2 days. So you see those guys and you really have an opportunity to spend time with just them and get to know them. And you sort of, yeah, you do fall into that character quite a bit. Thanks. Hey. Hi.
So what was one of your favorite costumes or your outfit or set pieces that you had on set?
This show or any show?
Any show.
Guys, questions. God, just when you think you can answer everything, you're like, what have I worn? I've worn nothing. I'm going to have to PG this story because we've got kids here. I had a scene, I don't even know if I can tell it. Do you guys know who Jim Belushi is?
Yeah.
Not John Belushi.
Yes.
But Jim, his brother, who did All About Jim or whatever. Funny guy. But funny guy. There's a scene, I did a series many years ago called Beggars and Choosers, and it was this great tongue-in-cheek attack at the acting industry, and I played Sandra Cassandra. I had this gum-snapping idiot, eating everything, having sex with everything, actress that I sued everyone, blackmailed everyone to give me an acting role. And I had a scene under a desk with Jim Belushi. You know, I can't tell the story. I'm sorry, there's kids here. I don't even know how to, let's just say we had, there was nudity, we were under a desk, he's got his shorts on, I don't. I have a G-string, but you gotta look naked, so it's just a flesh-colored G-string. Whenever women are naked, they give you a little G, so from the side you see nothing, but I've got a G-string on, and nothing on the top, and he's got a pair of shorts on, and he's leaning over me, so he's kinda,
you know, he's like this, right? And I'm like this, and we're lighting, and he's a lovely guy, and he said, Sammy's married with kids, I'm not worried about him. And so he's
over top of me like this, and we're talking, and, you know, he's got a Diet Coke in his hand, and we've done this a million times, and they're setting up the lighting, and they know we're chatting away, blah, 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 there's kids, there's wife, and the camera guy goes, hey, Jim, can you move your shorts so that we can see them? And he goes, because he's a professional, he goes, you want me to just take them off? And I'm like, no. They didn't want me to take them off. You guys don't want to take them off. And they're like, oh wow, would you? It just makes it so much easier for the camera. So gone, zing, they're gone. And now it's just me and Jim, and that's it, pretty much. Other than a tiny piece of nylon. And I'm like, oh God. Anyway, end of that story is, he used to lean forward, things all moved forward, and I went, that was it. And I'm like, and he, you know, and it was nothing dirty, it was just like, no, as I'm like, dude, he just had to lean forward, and I'm like, oh, I think we just moved into a whole different category of television. So that was probably the best outfit, that was definitely the easiest outfit. I'm trying to think, again, we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll come up with better answers, because I have to think about what I wore. Is there anybody left on this side? There is, hi there.
Hi, my name is Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
When you came back and Ellen was so babby, that made your dad even harder for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we didn't think you guys was coming back, and all of a sudden there's Ellen.
How did you feel about Ellen's relationship with Babby? Did you like that storyline as much as I did?
That one, My Heart Will Go On?
Not the whole story, just
but ours? Of course, because they tried to find a way to to do homage to Ellen, the best thing you could do, because Bobby was so loved. They're like, we gotta come up with they were always trying to, 15 years, man. You have to come up with new storylines all the time that kept you guys interested. I mean, the hot guys can only go so far. You gotta be able to give a good storyline. So what could they do that would, you know, keep people happy? And it made sense, because me and Bobby started on the show together. It made kind of symbolic sense for them to have us go out together. So when they said that, I remember reading and going, yes! Me and Bobby are married, this is fantastic. But to see it was so sad. Because at the end, you know how the universe didn't alter at all, and then it never happened, and there's, all of a sudden I disappear from that picture outside that, oh, emotional again. Okay, we have time for any more?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about my friend here.
Go. Okay, fantastic. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Kayla.
Hi, Kayla.
From Mama Bear, sort of person to Mama Bear.
Nice.
I don't, how, can you give some advice on letting go when your kids are growing up
How old are your kids?
It's my siblings.
Oh, it's your siblings?
Yes.
Okay.
And they are growing up and moving away from me, and
Okay.
I'm having a hard time letting go of them because I still see them as the kids I helped raise.
Yeah. You know what I would say? How old are they?
15, 18, and 21.
But here, you know what the thing about that is, here there's lovely heartbreaks and then there's heartbreaks. There's the big heartbreaks that we struggle with heavily over life, but then there's those lovely heartbreaks that are growing pains, that are rites of passage. You see, oh my God, there's the last time you ever picked up your kid. Do you think, any parents out there, do you realize you don't know when it was, but there was the last time that you ever picked up your child. You don't know when that was, but it happened. There was one last time. There was one last goodbye before your kid moved out. Those are beautiful heartbreaks. And you know what? Heartbreaks, all they do is remind you that we're alive. Thank God, you gotta feel something. If you don't feel anything, you got way bigger problems than if you're feeling that stuff. I think feelings are so incredibly important. And the fact that you feel it, man, you gotta feel life. So I would say, as much as you can, celebrate those tears because they remind you that you're alive and they remind you that you have loving people in your life and not everybody has that. So feel it, man. You gotta feel that shit. I talk to a lot of people with chronic pain, and the biggest cause of chronic pain is withholding emotions deep and dark. And the people that don't struggle with their emotions, that let that shit out, those people do not struggle with chronic pain. So you gotta let that stuff fly and just let it be part of you and own it, for sure. Does that answer your questions? Good. Okay.
Well said. Nice to know. Yeah. You know, on the whole picking up your kid thing, my back is dying for the last time I'm ever going to have to do that. I swear to God. I know, I'm not joking. But picking up your kids, especially when you have two of them at the same time.
Did you have two of them at the same time?
I had twin girls. Well, I didn't have twin girls.
See, you know what's funny? And I shouldn't say this, I don't know about your background, but the boys that all were bad boys in their lives, karma came and got them,
Yeah.
and they had all girls.
God has a weird fucking sense of humor. Yeah, he really
They will
does.
never sleep again, and they will pay them back. I got a buddy who was the biggest whore, he had $5. They tried for a boy every single time. At the end, they just said, to tie them, no more kids, 5 girls. 5 girls.
Well, you know, my brother-in-law said to me when, you know, I was taking the piss out of him when, you know, I was yanking his chain. And I said, aha, you got 3 boys, you're in for it for the whole life. I got 2 beautiful girls, they're going to be so good. He goes, hey, dude, I got to worry about 3 dicks for the rest of my life. You got to worry about thousands.
Yes, that's a very good point. And apparently, boys, they punch each other and they scream and shout and trucks and kill and they hurt. But when they become teenagers, they're abuse kids. Give them a conversation about sex and condoms, you're good. Girls, lovely and swag, ready, and look really cute, and then they turn into teenagers and they become monsters.
Oh, God.
I'm on the phone, shut the door, I hate you, I hate all of you. And they're like, oh my God, a friend of mine had 5 boys. She said she watched all her friends that had girls, and she's like, I'm grateful. My house smells like sweaty junk because they were all, I mean, for years, it was like sweaty junk for years. They all played hockey, it was disgusting. She said she had no problem. Boys, she's like, yes.
Oh, God. Okay, well, thanks so much for that.